Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you how I went from this to this. So, as you can see from the video title, this is completely different to what I'm used to. If you like gaming content, then check out my other stuff. I've got a FIFA Pro Club season going on with my mates. We've just got into Division 7, it's quite funny. And I've also got a Pokemon series going on at the minute, and it'll be great for you guys to get involved if you're into that sort of stuff. But if not, we're just going to get straight into the video and talk about my hair. Cool. The main question I get asked is, why? Why would you get a hair transplant? And it's been a long journey. From when I was 16 onwards, I always had the hair right across my fringe, covering half my face. And it's because when I was younger, I always had a cow's lick, one of those sticky up things, and it covered that. And then when I got into my early 20s, it just slowly started to recede. These bits started to recede quite badly. And I had one of those sort of islands in the middle that I just swept across my whole face, covering the truth really. And then if it ever rained or I went swimming or sports or stuff like that and I started to sweat, the truth came out. The truth came out. And it messed with me. I didn't want it. I didn't like it. So I decided to get it done. And then before I went to Turkey, I shaved my head. And then the truth really did come out. So that's why I did it. So you might be wondering what company I used and why I decided to choose these guys in the first place. I used a company called the Clinic Center. And the reason I chose these guys was I have a friend of mine and he went about a year and a half before me, and I seen his results firsthand. And believe me when I say this, they were incredible. So it was a no-brainer for me. I had to go to these guys. If you go on their website, there's so many before and after photos that you just have to check out. They're incredible. So if it's something you're interested in, the link will be in the bio, so make sure you check them out. Now, traveling was a big worry for me at the time. It was September 2020, and if you don't know by now, we're in a massive pandemic. So it was a worry for me whether it was going to be safe or not. And it was, from my experience, it was completely fine. We got picked up at the airport from one of the reps, and we just got drove all the way to the hotel. And then from the hotel, they would take us to the hospital for our procedure. They would pick us up, they would take us back to the hotel, and on the last day, they'd take us all the way to the airport. Now, let's talk about like the procedure as a whole. There's a few different options when it comes to hair transplants and sort of the procedures you do. And I personally went with the FUE transplant, which is the follicular unit extraction. That definitely didn't take me 10 takes to do. But yeah, that's the procedure I went with. And what that means is they take out the hair follicles from the back of your head, and then they're gonna put them in the front of your head. Now, if you're interested in doing a hair transplant for yourself, then make sure you do this sort of research first, because I thought the FUE thing would be best for me, and that doesn't necessarily mean that the procedure is going to be best for you. You might try one of the other procedures that are out there. So make sure you do that research before you jump into it. Now, it's the day of the procedure, so you've gotten to the hospital, they've took you into a room, and then they completely shave your head. Now, I've never been bald before, so this was an experience for me. They then draw the line, as you can see, where they're going to input all the follicles, and then they'll ask you there and then if you want it lowered or if you want it higher or how you want it. They'll give their expert opinion on sort of your head shape. Now, I've got quite a big head, so my natural line was sort of up there curved, as opposed to somebody that might have a small head, which can get away with the sort of rectangle hairlines that you see. And then they get into it. Now, once you and your doctor have come to an agreement on your hairline and sort of what you want and what's best for you, they put you onto one of those massage beds, you know, with the face missing. And then they start putting the anesthetic into your head. And believe me, that first 5 minutes, it hurts. Now, obviously I have tattoos, and I'm telling you, this hurts. This hurts a lot. And you get warned from everyone that you meet that the first 5 minutes is a killer. But after that, it's plain sailing, I'm telling you. I actually fell asleep. I actually fell asleep at some parts. And that's because it was relaxing. My whole head's numb. I'm lying down for 8 hours. And it sounds like if you get polystyrene and you get a knife and you hear that shh, 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 that's what it sounds like, just over and over and over again. So first of all, you're lied on your front. and then they take it from the back, so they take away all the grafts. I haven't mentioned earlier that I got around 3,000 grafts, so they take all of them out the back of your head, and then they flip you, and then they put them in to the top of your head. So my cats decided to join us. Now, once they flip you over, like in the middle part of the hair transplant, they actually fed me, which I wasn't expecting. Nobody told me that they were going to do that, and they fed me some of the local cuisines, and it was actually really nice. I think it's to give you that sugar rush, and they give you a can of Coke and all the rest of it, just to keep you, yourself up, because you're losing a lot of blood. And then they obviously do the front bit, and that's pretty much the procedure. Now, after the procedure, I was like really worn out and tired and a little bit faint and all the rest of it. And it was like half 11 at night, and I still had to go back to the hotel, which was in like an hour drive. And you're not allowed to touch it. You're not allowed to touch it. So any door frame, anything, you're really wary of it. And there's something about it that's just really like icky, and just like you don't want to touch it, and it's just really cringy. And your head's all wrapped up and all the rest of it as well. So like the back of your head, because obviously you've got so many holes in the back of your head. So sleeping that night was a little bit awkward, I'll be completely honest. When enough time's passed, they'll take you back to the hospital, and one of the doctors will take out the bandage from the back, completely wash it and wash the front and clean it all, make sure it's all looking nice, and just double check over everything, tell you all the rules and regulations of sort of what you can and can't do, because there's quite a lot of stuff that you can't do straight away afterwards. You can't drink, you can't smoke, you can't exercise, you can't sweat, you can't go out in the sun, can't go out in the rain. Like there's quite a lot of stuff that you can't do, so they make sure they give you like a list of everything that you can do, so it's all really thorough. So after the guidelines and the rules and stuff, they'll start talking about the aftercare. And the aftercare is a tricky one. So they'll give you two things. They'll give you like a gel, and they'll give you a foam, and every single night you've got to put them on. So the gel, you've got to dip your finger in it and just slightly dab around the whole thing. And then when it comes to washing off, you can't shower, can you? So you've got to use a cup of water, and you've got to put it on the back of your head and let it trickle down and wash it off. Then when that's dry, you then put the foam on. Now this bit for me was really tricky, because touching it cringes you out. It's not the nicest thing to touch for me personally anyway. And knowing that like there's some scabbing and stuff, then if I was to knock these scabs off, like what could happen? Like it could rip out some of the hair follicles. You're not really meant to touch it anyway, so am I putting too much pressure? Am I not putting enough pressure? But the main thing is just relax. Now post procedure, you've gotten back into the country and everything's good. You'd think that it should just be going up from here, right? Well, kind of wrong, to be honest. So I've gone back to the country, and for some reason in a couple of these photos I have a tiny bit of string there on my head where I've picked it up from somewhere, and I was too scared to pull it because I didn't know if it was attached to some hair follicles and all the rest of it. So I left it there for a few days, and I finally got it in the end. But it was just unnerving, like I was saying earlier. It's just every time you're touching it, there's something about it, it's just a bit awkward. Now obviously it's still red, and you can see that my hair is my normal hair is starting to come through, and it picks up a really good pace. So for the first month and a half, it goes so quick, and you're looking at it and you start to get really excited. You start to think, oh my god, this is my hairline, look how incredible it looks. And I was always told around the month and a half mark it falls out, and I got a little bit excited because I got about a month, 3 weeks, and it wasn't falling out. So I was like, oh, I'm an exception to the rule, my hair must just grow from now on. Wrong. It does fall out. It completely falls out. After it's fallen out, it's a little bit of a worry, because you're wondering, like, is it gonna grow, isn't it gonna grow? And it gives you a lot of anxiety. Luckily, if it is luckily, this lockdown was happening, so I didn't really leave the house much, so my hair just managed to do its thing. I didn't have to be in public all the time. As my hair grew and the other bit wasn't growing, I was starting to worry, like, is it gonna happen for me? Now leading up to the hair falling out, you can experience some like irritation, some lumps, some dryness, and it's fine. You expect this sort of stuff. The transplanted area is completely fallen out now, and my normal hair is growing at quite a good rate. And in October, I get my first haircut. As you can see, I still have loads of holes in the back of my head. So I maybe shouldn't have gotten a skin fade so early, but it's just how I'm used to having my hair. So then my hair, my normal hair, kept growing and growing and growing and growing and growing, and the bald areas obviously weren't growing. So it got to about November time, and it was so bad. It was literally so bad. I didn't want to leave the house. It was literally like what it was before. So I started worrying, because I'm a big worrier. And then we get to December, and December I could slowly see some sprouts of hair, some little tiny hair that I was clinging on to for dear life. And they were just slowly, more of them were coming out, and they were getting longer and longer and longer. And it was slow, but then around New Year's, it just went mad. And then after New Year's, it's just been growing constantly. I'm only 6 months in, so you can sort of see what it's like in 6 months. I'll give you a proper good look in a minute. But it's 6 months in, and you don't see the full results until 12 months. And post 12 months, you can still get a few more results. So if you remember that photo I showed at the beginning, and then like look at me now, I think it's worth it. I don't know if you guys think it's worth it, but I think it's worth it. One thing I didn't mention is I've been taking biotin tablets, which they suggest you take anyway, which is just for your hair health. And also the shampoo that I used was the Johnson baby shampoo, because you're not allowed to use normal shampoo up until about a couple weeks ago, a month ago. I started using normal shampoo. Now we're getting up close and personal. So as you can see from my hair, this is my hairline now. So there you go. I've got a visible hairline. As you can see, it goes right away across. Still a little bit of coloring there underneath, very lightly pink shade. But I think that's mainly because of my skin color as well. I'm quite pale, but I can spike it all up, and you can sort of see that it's fine. As you go into it, this is a lot harder to do than I thought it would be. You can still see my scalp is quite pink, but it's pretty good. We have a little bit here which it needs to grow a little bit more, as you can see underneath, where it's grown more here than it has further back. But overall I'm pretty happy with it, I won't lie. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about my experience, and hopefully if you guys are looking at getting a hair transplant, then check these guys out, because they're awesome. I'm very happy with mine, and every single person has completely different results, but I'm sure you're going to be happy with the results no matter what. But in terms of the video, that's it, I guess. That's it. It's been a pleasure. Obviously, I'm not used to this sort of thing, but I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, drop a like on the video and leave a comment or whatever. But it's been a pleasure, and I appreciate it so much. So thank you, and have a good day.